Cel Damage is... Cel Damage... There we go. Cel Damage is the definition of potential. When Twisted Metal started doing whatever this is, the market for a competent car combat game was wide open. Cel Damage was poised to take its rightful seat on the throne, until Twisted Metal Black, widely considered the peak of the PlayStation exclusive series, beat it to release by 5 months. But Cel Damage is one of those games that has a lot of charm, and was just short of capitalizing on its potential that it had. After all, if more than 37 first-person shooter series can coexist, then 2 car combat games can live in harmony. Not you, Vigilante 8. Cel Damage follows a fictional TV show of the same name on the highly original fake television network Toon TV. The show follows a series of events where combatants participate in one of 3 kinds of challenges: death matches, checkpoint races, and capture the flag events. The most important aspect of Cel Damage that helps it stand out is theme. The atmosphere that the developers made is evident immediately from the opening cutscene and follows you throughout the entirety of the game. Cel Damage really leans into characters being cartoons, giving the game an excuse on how they refuse to die, and how they keep coming back after getting chopped in half. When you have a rejected devil shooting dynamite at a brain in a jar that drives a car, you really have to accept the fact that no one, including the developers, is taking this game too seriously. The graphics are lovely and a pleasure to look at even after all these years. Colors really pop and the arenas feel well designed, albeit small at times, and the cel-shaded graphics really help the game age well, just like almost every other cel-shaded game. Paired with the bright graphics are some of the most thoughtful car physics I've ever played with in a game. I'm absolutely not talking about realism, quite the opposite in fact. Jumping off a tombstone or other makeshift ramp usually results in your vehicle doing a flip or a spin, just for fun. Turning on a dime feels excellent, a true highlight that stands out in my head when I think about this game, because all of these weird jelly physics, as I like to call them. Your vehicle is not a rigid object in any sense of the word. As you turn, your car literally bends in the direction you are turning, like a dog chasing its tail or Mario leaning into his run on Mario 64. It's such an Arcadian, cartoony kind of thing, but it really adds to the gameplay and makes you feel like you can just accurately put your car exactly where you need it to be, if only the game wasn't so hard that it didn't really matter. At first glance, Cel Damage may look like an ultra-cartoony twist on Twisted Metal, and you wouldn't be entirely wrong for thinking so. But where Twisted Metal sticks to the much more predictable, heavy-hitting weapons like napalm and homing missiles, Cel Damage ramps up the insanity by adding ridiculous weapons that start out as exclusive to different characters and arenas. On one hand, you have a character who drives a beat-up sedan that sprouts a wood chipper that feasts on opponents. You've got a duck that looks like he's straight out of some old noir, whose car grows arms just to shoot a Tommy gun out of the hood. It's a really cool idea that adds to the characters and adds to their personality. Each of their exclusive weapons feels like something that they would have at their disposal if they weren't in a car combat game. And the other items are great too. Watching the arms appear from the hood with a baseball bat and knocking opponents out of the arena is fun and genuinely never gets old. Every character has an exclusive attack, from Fleming's bouncing laser cannons to Violet's mortar strike. The biggest issue is the imbalance between weapons and how effective they actually are. Jumping back into the game blind led to a ton of frustrating moments as I found a few of the characters' special attacks to be completely useless. Where the game starts to get old really fast is an absurd difficulty spike where the game starts at peak difficulty and then plateaus instantaneously. The difficulty curve is a straight line. When I tell you that a victory in any type of event is absolutely a roll of the dice unless you are a high-level player of this game that flopped almost 2 decades ago, I'm not kidding. Not to mention the fact that you cannot unlock new event types until you complete a certain amount of death matches. Call me crazy, but the difficulty spike might be an attempt to cover up the fact that there's not too much content in this game. Sure, there are a few unlockable characters and a good amount of events to partake in, but every event takes place in one of 16 different arenas. The problem is the arenas were clearly made to be part of death matches and capture the flag challenges, with the checkpoint races shoehorned in for longevity. Want to know how I know they were made for padding? Do you? Do you want to know? One of the arenas you can race on is Saturn's rings in space. Instead of letting you race around checkpoints in a circle around the planet on the rings, granted not an obviously fun objective, racing in a circle, there are 2 checkpoints placed on the rings. If you look at a compass, the checkpoints are on the north and west points, meaning you pass through a checkpoint, and instead of driving around and exploring the ring, You hook a Yui and gun it back and forth until the race is over. It seems shoddy and dull, and it really doesn't make sense, especially since it would have been just as easy to just drop the checkpoint somewhere else. It also doesn't help that if you played a perfect game from start to finish, a near impossible task given how brutally painful this game can be, you are playing in an arena 3 times. It becomes a slog, especially after losing a string of close finishes that you lose at the last second. Cel Damage is a good-looking game with a ton of fun ideas that just never really capitalizes on the potential that it has, and therefore the game flopped pretty hard. The planned sequel for the game was scrapped after the game failed to sell well, and a part of me expected to never see it again. But as the clouds parted on the horizon in 2014, the game received a second chance when it was re-released on PS4 and Xbox One as a download, and last year on Switch. In those versions, the difficulty is tamped down tremendously, and with the brand new HD graphics, there's no reason not to play those versions of the game if you are considering picking it up. I really like Cel Damage for what it is, and in a lot of ways it was a failed experiment with a lot of heart put into it. Having cutscenes for every character to explain how they achieved a spot on the show was a nice touch that helped make the world feel a little wider. It's a game greater than the sum of its parts. Cel Damage was introduced to me in high school by a friend who grew up with it, and when I found a copy on eBay, we had a ton of fun playing it in split screen. It's the perfect shut your mind off kind of game where it's less about winning or losing, and more about mindlessly chopping opponents in half with a comically large chainsaw. And for that reason, I will always like it for what it is, a fun little distraction. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. If you played Cel Damage, let me know your favorite memories. If you like my videos enough, why don't you hit that subscribe button for me, or leave me a like. It helps me out a lot to know what I'm doing right and what I'm not doing right. Sorry for such a short video this week. I was swamped with the 4th of July and I had work 4 days in a row. Next week I'll be back with another video, and thank you so much for watching.